Pastor starts his favorites tonight, so start looking for your favorites.
So good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight, and I mentioned this morning that we're going to do the business meeting first and just do that, and then we'll go into the music. If anybody needs a budget, a copy of the budget and doesn't have one, Chipper and Dave have those, and so you can get a copy from them. And I've seen several people looking at it, so if you have questions, we'll get those in just a minute. And I meant to look this up. Who's our clerk this year? David? Dave, I think you're it. You're the clerk. So you're going to need to take a note on that budget if you want to about who makes the motion and second. All right? So this morning I had a PowerPoint and went over several things, and I'm not going to put all that up here again today, but I did add something that I just didn't want to take the time to go over this morning. I just wanted to give people an idea of what we have. These were some of the things I mentioned. These are the general fund balances at the end of May, and so those are healthy, and then the balances in our savings account as well, and you saw a lot of this when we did looked at phase 2, and so that is that $333,000 is the amount basically that we'll have for the phase 2 building, and then we'll talk more about finances a little bit later in a couple of weeks. And then here are a couple of things that I didn't put up there this morning. And just if you look at this, you'll see that this is the general fund. And for me, and what we have to always be concerned about, what's the bottom line? You know, you have various categories that are up or down, or, you know, you have various fluctuations in those. But if you look at year to date, that's actually May. And when the deacons and trustees look at it, I give them a projection on that. And so if you see that general fund at the end of May, tithes and offerings were $347,592, and if you divide that by 11 and multiply it by 12, it would be around just under $380,000 that we would project that the income will be. And the budget for the year was $340, so we'll exceed that budget. Then the total receipts, and that's just everything that came in, 484. And our budget was 428, so we're doing well in both of those. Then you can bring in a lot of money, but if you spend more than you bring in, you got a problem. But our disbursements are less than that, and so we're at 482 with the total on that. And then our budget was 426, but we want to make sure those two numbers are where they should be. Then on the missions account, I mentioned this a little bit this morning, 49 is what had come in at the end of May. And if you do the division and the multiplication there, you come to about 53. And so that would be a little bit short of what we projected and what we've had before. But we think a lot of that is because of the way people were giving this year, and just some of it may not have gotten moved to the missions account. So we'll find that out this year, but we've corrected a lot of that. And so the total income at that point was 49, total disbursements 53. And the reason for that is because, I've mentioned this several times, we've given some pretty significant gifts to some of our missionaries and some other ministries, especially during COVID. And it's been a real blessing to some people, and I get to see the thank you notes for that, but I really appreciate the giving of our people, and it's been a blessing to a lot of people. Rapidan, we've given a couple of gifts to, and he's just expressed how appreciative that they are of those gifts, and so I appreciate that. And then the Academy, of course, the enrollment was way up, and so it affects our budget, and this year, 358 was what we had at the end of May, and that should be about all. We'll have some that will come in after that, and we have summer care that's doing extremely well, so it'll actually increase that probably to well over 400,000 that we'll have for total receipts if we include the whole summer.